Hi. Naturally, when you deal with any form of technology, you have ethical implications that need to be addressed and talked about. And we're going to be talking about those. What are the ethical responsibilities to the teacher and the students when implementing a flipped classroom? Naturally, it's going to be up to the teacher not to just say, oh, we're going to put in a Khan Academy video, which is fine probably when you're beginning to implement some of it. But it's not just getting by. This is where you really want to teach the students and allow them to grasp onto subjects and so they can bring in their questions and be prepared for the time in the classroom where you get to collaborate together and guide them through. Um, Jeff Jonathan Bergman, did a great video on how to help students with the flipping, and here it is.
Here are some tips to overcome some of the hurdles and blunders that we've seen commonly happen as teachers flip their classroom.
Make sure your students can access the internet. We all know that not all students have access to the internet at their home, so you may have to come up with some other solutions. Get some flash drives, check them out to students, burn the video content onto DVDs, or write a grant, get a class set of some sort of digital device that you can check out to your students and they can take home and use that way.
Make sure you teach your students how to watch a video. You say, my kids know how to watch a video. Yes, they know how to watch Spider-Man, but that's not the same as watching an educational video that you've created for them to watch. Ultimately, you're trying to teach them how to interact with the video content in a meaningful way that causes them to reflect and think through what they're being exposed to. I had a conversation with a 6th grade teacher. He said, I spent 3 weeks teaching my students how to watch a video. He had, little guys, 12-year-olds. I had 16-year-olds. It makes a huge difference based on the maturity of the kids and what they are ready and prepared to learn.
Keep in mind that the length of the videos does matter. Our rule of thumb is 1 to 1.5 minutes per grade level that the students are in. So a 4th grade student, you're talking 4 to 6 minutes max. A 10th grade student, 10 to 15 maximum. Keep it short, and if you need to make more videos that are short, that's better than making fewer videos that are long. Another question that a lot of teachers ask is, what do I do if students show up to my class and they haven't viewed the content? Well, let's be real here. I mean, there are kids who are going to show up to any classroom who haven't done their homework. That's just a reality that we live in as educators. It's really not that different in a flipped classroom, but there are ways that you can safeguard or build in some steps to keep kids engaged while they're viewing the content and that you can use to check to see if they have. We took the low-tech approach. We just wanted to see some notes. Other teachers are embedding these videos onto a web page and embedding like a Google form underneath it to collect some data from the students, having them answer some questions. You could just pose a question in the video themselves and have the students bring the answer to that question as an entrance ticket into class. So there's all sorts of different ways that you can check to see if students actually did their work, and then you as a teacher, as an educator, will just hold them accountable for that.
Ultimately, I think the key is that you hold kids accountable. If they've made the poor choice of not doing the work, then what you're going to do is you're going to take that time and you're going to say, you now have to watch the video in class while the other kids are getting help on the hard stuff.
So some teachers get a little intimidated by this idea of creating their own videos. Really, you don't need a super duper studio. You don't need to worry about high dollar cameras and things like that. But there are a few techniques that you can do to really improve the quality of your stuff. So sit in a room with good lights, have a nice quiet area to work, and don't have a distracting background. Have something nice and simple. Those are things that you can introduce to help the quality. Another question you should ask yourself is, do I need it to be perfect, or do I need it on Tuesday? So some teachers can get bogged down and trying to have everything just perfect, but how many of your actual live lessons in a classroom have been perfect? Probably not very many. We teach naturally, we teach organically, and we speak to our students in a way that's meaningful to them. Make these videos the same way. Just make them effective content delivery tools. Don't worry about trying to make a Hollywood production out of it.
One of the beauties of the flip class is it's very scalable. You know what? You don't have to flip a class. You could flip one lesson, or you could flip a unit, or you could flip a whole class. It's scalable. So one recommendation we would have for you is maybe you need to start small and figure out what's the best place to flip. If I were to give you a recommendation of what you should flip if you're looking for a lesson, find something that your kids struggle with. I was working with a group of fourth grade teachers, and we were talking about math, and they said, in unison to me, they said, my kids struggle with long division. I said, that's your first flip class video, is long division. So what's the equivalent of long division for you? That's your first lesson to flip.
So to recap, make sure all of your students have access to the content.
Make sure you teach them how to watch the videos.
Build in some safeguards to make sure that all students are actually watching the videos.
Don't feel the need to make your videos perfect.
And don't try to do too much all at once. Take it step by step, take it slow, and before long, you will have flipped your class.
I believe that if we implement the things that Bergman and Sams just did in this video, it will make flipping so much easier for you and just a pure success. They address some of the conflicts that would occur within the classroom, the challenges. Students must recognize and demonstrate self-directed learning skills to be successful. The students are being held accountable for this. Students need to know that this is their job. And I like how they did within your video, put an entrance ticket into the classroom. And if they didn't do the work, like they said, kids in all classrooms, some of them do not do their homework. This will be the same way. Don't look at it as a failure. This means they will just have to view it in the classroom while you are guiding the other ones. Another one is access and availability. A lot of kids don't have internet at home. Allow them, if need be, access to your computer in the office. While researching, there was actually a principal who allowed the kids come into his office and use his computer to view the flipped lesson. Make it available to them in some form or way. Some teachers say, oh, I've got so many different students to deal with. We've got the ones who are really accelerated and some of them are behind. Well, this is a perfect thing to do for students when you're dealing with a huge range of intellectual abilities. The kids who need a little extra help, they're able to review that video over and over again and grasp things better than during a lecture. The students who are a little more advanced, they're able to grasp onto those points very quickly. Another one is going to be you have to convince that administration, the colleagues and students that flipping is valid. When doing this, I think that the best thing to do is just to introduce the results from flipping. In many of the studies, there's a higher percentage of students graduating from high school when the flipping method is implemented. In a freshman English class, 50% of the freshmen were failing English. 44% were failing math. Once the flipping method was implemented into the structure of the classroom, the result was only 19% were failing English and 13% were failing math. If that doesn't be enough to convince any administration that flipping a classroom is necessary. Another thing we need to do is change our mindset. So many times we are just stuck in this thought that you just do a lesson and you go home and kids do the homework. They're going to watch a video and that be that. That is not what it's about. You need to have students participate in the lesson and in the learning. You can have the kids do a classroom blog in order to show what they're learning. Allow kids to be involved in their learning. Bottom line is you got to change up your instruction and keep the students engaged and watch how knowledge will occur.